So they're saying on the news, this full-scale invasion going on down at the border. They're calling it now a... Jesus, freaking traffic, man. What the hell is going on up here? Where does people come from, right? Anyway, so they're calling it a global crisis now. The crisis of immigration worldwide. Well, that may be so, but it's a crisis that was created by globalism, right? Some of you might be old enough to remember back when old W. Bush, signed that deal with the Mexican president, with the North American trade agreement and all that other stuff. And how even back then, was that like the mid-90s, they're calling for a North American Union. And this fits right in with the UN Agenda 2030. They don't want borders. They don't want nation states, right? Well, everybody except for maybe you can still include that little Vatican City, smallest nation state, true monarchy on Earth. Yeah, they'll probably maintain their sovereignty, as well as, like Trump poked fun at the Pope. Those massive walls that were erected around the Vatican to keep out the invading Muslim hordes, right? Yeah, so of course immigration is a problem worldwide, and the same thing has been happening in Europe that, we're now starting to perk up and wake up to here in America. And meanwhile, we're sending all of our money to the tune of over 100 billion to defend the border of Ukraine, right? The irony of it all never escapes me. Yeah, but they couldn't spend, what was it, like, man, I can't remember off the top of my head, like, 3 pops in my mind, 30, was it 30 or 300 million for the border wall here in America? Can't spend that. Can't spend a few tens of millions here to defend our own borders from a full-scale invasion. But we can send hundreds of billions to Ukraine, arming them to the teeth against a invasion on their border on the other side of the planet, right? Makes perfect sense. Perfect sense, guys. This world has gone insane, man. I just and the way the media, you gotta love how the media covers it every time, man. It never fails. It's all these like heartstring stories. My madre, she drowned in the river on the way. This guy's all choking up for the cameras. And then they shoot him later and he's like wearing a COVID mask for some reason. Just like trekking through the jungle. He's wearing his COVID mask, right? At least they got that down. Because they're good, obedient little sheep. That's what this country really wants, right? People that are going to follow orders, that don't have any allegiances to our constitutional system. They don't have any of these like outdated, starry-eyed kind of childlike attachments to any concepts such as civil liberties, right? Because they come from these shithole little countries down in South America where, you just kind of do what you're told, right? Or, you'll end up in prison for life if they don't kill you. That's kind of freedoms you got down there in like Guadalajara, right? Guatemala. It's insane. There's a literal invasion going on right now, guys. It's like, I don't know, they admitted on the news story 1,800 yesterday flooded in one day. I'm sure the numbers are higher than that from the different accounts that I've heard. That's probably knowing the news media, everything is slanted, right? We're supposed to have pity and lovingly embrace our invaders, right? that are, by the way, majority of like military-aged men all by themselves. They just left their families, right? So that's what kind of upstanding individuals these people are. You know, the cream of the crop, right, guys? And they're just going to create so much of a problem. They had the head of, I think it was the head of Homeland Security or something, the idiot, freaking bald goon, decrying, I think, Florida's law about how they can't just catch and release immigrants in that state. And here's the head of like Homeland Security, I think it was, saying how that's a bad policy, right? Because he's for our Homeland Security, guys. No, it makes much more sense to just release all these people with unknown origin, unknown kind of like criminal records, right? Some of these countries could be very well emptying out their prisons at this point because they can't afford to house these convicts, and they could be just flooding them through this country. Like, my question is, why can't America put a little bit of pressure on Mexico maybe to guard their southern border, right? They're just letting them flood in through their country, these caravans, and you know, they got to cross all the way through that big old country of Mexico down there, and they're not doing nothing to stop them. They know exactly what they're up to, right? They're bussing them in, they're training them in, sending them on trains. This is all by design. They want open borders, right? They want to finally sink the knife in the heart of this country until we have nothing left to stand on. We have no more, I mean, and I'm sorry, you know, I'd probably want to do the same thing if I was in some crap hole country and you saw the way the standard of living over here in America, but I'm sorry, everybody can't. The whole entire world cannot live the American dream. It's just the cold hard facts, guys. Unless your own country, you know, wants to copy maybe the American system, and you could probably have more prosperity than we have right now, because our system isn't even following, you know, our original vision, you know, the founding fathers, that led to the prosperity that we still, you know, we're still just feeding off of the last remaining lifeblood, right, of prosperity that this nation has left. And meanwhile, what are they doing? They're flooding the country. And I don't like to like dehumanize people, but if you're just coming here for benefits and to be handed, you know, a certain type of lifestyle and to be given everything for free, you know, just to milk it for all it's worth, you are a parasite, okay? You're not contributing anything to that country. Yes, you're still a human being, right? You should be treated as one. But if they really wanted to solve this problem, they wouldn't do like Governor Abbott and keep shipping them further into the country, right? To get back at the Democrats. Yeah, let's just keep shipping illegals by the busload further up north, you know, or east or wherever. Just, how is that going to solve the problem there, Abbott? That is such, if anything points out the hypocrisy and the laughable joke of the controlled opposition left-right politics, it's that, right? It's like, I'm going to get back at my enemy by shipping a bunch of illegals across the country that actually kind of forwards the mission of your enemy, doesn't it, Mr. Abbott? Doesn't that kind of just increase the problem? In fact, by shipping them to all the major cities, like it's going on in Denver now. I hear this on the news every night now here in this libtarded blue state of Colorado. Oh, there's a crisis now because we became a sanctuary city over there in Denver, right? The capital of the state, of course. So we wanted to be loving, you know, we wanted to be virtue signaling lefties. So we made Denver a sanctuary state. And all of a sudden, these giant busloads of these immigrants from just total like hardcore South American countries. 90+% college age males. And that's how they show up on the news. They'll show up, they have these detainments, not even detainment, or housing compounds, basically, FEMA camps, whatever. And even on the footage, it'll be like 90% males. And they'll show like one example. Oh, here's a lady and her child, right? Pull at those heartstrings. But the policy in Denver is, yeah, they can go whenever they want. They can come and go. So you don't give a damn about the, your local Coloradans that have to deal with these people that are totally like culture shock, right? You come out of this third world shithole and they come to this country and they're just dropped off in a main metropolis city. And you don't know anything about their history. I mean, these could be hardened criminals, right? With multiple felonies, right? And you're just gonna let them wander around the streets, the local neighborhoods, just kind of set up camp. Oh, this is insane, man. So now they're complaining every night on our local news here in Colorado about, we're kind of running out of resource here, guys. And they're all like demanding, I guess this is going on in New York too. Yeah, all these main centers of commerce, right? The biggest cities in the country. Yeah, you're gonna flood them, and you're going to tie them up, right? With this moral dilemma, let's say, of housing armies of immigrants, right? At this perfect, pristine timing, right after COVID, and all the damage that did to the local economies, right? To the small mom and pop shops. Let's just continue to burden the system while the Fed keeps printing dollars and devaluing all of our currency and sending hundreds of billions to Ukraine, right? This just all makes perfect sense. And our infrastructure is crumbling, and there's train wrecks every day, and there's these massive like factory fires. It's getting to a point where it's like, before I was like, okay, there's some coincidences that happen, but you see it like on a regular basis, just one after another. Boom, boom, boom. They're all like chemical spills into rivers, and it's like, you ever get the idea that there's kind of a silent invasion going on right now? Yeah, war has been declared. I mean, we're already at war, according to many a thought leader, like bobblehead out there. From Pope, from Biden, Trump, all the rest. This is World War III right now, right, guys? But we have always been, since our foundation, the founders said, we'd never be conquered from the outside because we have such land wealth, right? You can never conquer this continent. It's huge, right? On top of that, you have, which they're also trying to whittle away at, chip away at, the Second Amendment and the rights of the citizens to own firearms, right? Good luck invading America with all the firearms in this country. Good luck with a big target on your back, right? As an invader, as a red Chinese or a Russian or whatever else, right? Like Red Dawn. Yeah, that's not going to turn out too good for the invaders, I'm sorry to tell you. But they did say we could be conquered from within, and that's exactly what's going on. We have the most corrupt individuals who have captured and seized control of our government, right? And every bureaucracy, every alphabet agency, they're all working against that original vision, the intended design of this nation. And our prosperity and our children's future, right? Our posterity, right? And I don't know what to do about it, guys. I mean, I guess it's just gonna have to get so bad that it dissolves into civil war, I guess, and that's probably part of the plan, right? order out of chaos. The nations were angry, the Bible says, towards the end of times. And you can very well see why, People, I'm feeling a little anger myself, guys, I'm feeling like, a little microaggression, maybe, from our own government. I love how they call them asylum seekers on the news. You know what I like asylum from? Our own governments, right? And the policies of our own criminal cartel of a government that fly in the face of everything that should be Americana, right? That's what I try to say. Yeah. How about a constitutional republic for a change, right? How about respecting the rights and the liberty of every individual? How about not forcing the population to get injected over an imaginary virus? There's a few good reasons to seek asylum. I don't want to call them illegals, right? No. Asylum seekers. What are they seeking asylum from exactly? Does anybody ask that? Because a lot of them look pretty well dressed. They look pretty cozy. They're all like carrying cell phones. I guess there's an app now where these illegals can apply over an app to basically invade the country, right? And I'm not like, don't paint it in this black and white box. I have friends who came to this country illegally. I don't agree with that, but they're good people. Like I said, if I was in their position and I didn't have any hope in my lifetime of ever overcoming this crappy little lot that I've been given in life, right? You're never gonna get anywhere else than where you're at. You're just gonna live in your own filth your whole life and barely feed yourself. I would probably want to do the same thing, right? So I don't hold that against them, but I do hold it against these armies of, you're breaking the law by coming here, okay? You don't respect our country if you're gonna break our law to get here. Go through the process like everybody else does, right? You can't, why can't I go to like some rich European country, just fly in and demand all these reparations, housing, food, just give it all to me, because your standard of living is higher than mine here in America, shit poor American, right? We had to file taxes recently because we're trying to get some of these, just a little bit of government assistance for my mom. And we are a below taxable income, I'll just put it that way. Let's give you a rough idea how rich, how prosperous, how wealthy I am. And a lot of that's by choice. I'm not going to play a victim. I do things kind of differently. I don't like the check in the 9-to-5 type lifestyle. And it costs me, let's put it that way, right? When you work for yourself, when you work from home, in your own home business, you're basically volunteering 90% of the time. It's one of those volunteer jobs. But if I wanted to up my standard of living, why can't I just fly over to like Switzerland or someplace the Swiss Alps? These rich, which is already going on in a lot of places of Europe, right? A lot of these places in Europe, like remember that when they shipped the illegals to Martha's Vineyard and all those little virtue signaling elite? I think it took them about a week, so they're like, you know what? I think we got to do something with these people because we don't want them here anymore, right? Let's ship them off to some other place where, our taxpayer dollars can pay for their housing. Just get them out of sight. Get them out of sight. Riffraff. Same things happening in a lot of places in Europe. These rich countries in Europe just getting invaded by these people that, they come from countries where they like shit in the street. And that's what they do in these, once wealthy at least, parts of Europe. And the same tactics, you have, the Pope badgering people for being racist. Why can't you just let in all the immigrants, right, guys? So it's this global problem they're painting it as right now. It's a global crisis of immigration. What do you think the solution will be? Well, it's always got to be a global solution, right? Got a global problem, you need a global solution. What do you think that'll be? Yes, more world government, perhaps? More UN Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, maybe? Or let's get rid of nations altogether, huh? We're all under this umbrella. We're all global citizens now, right, guys? Well, one big happy Babylonian family. And once you do that, once you go down that road, even though I know a lot of kids these days, they don't have a clue. I talk to them. I have a nephew. I have nieces. They don't give a damn about our system of government. In fact, they've been taught over and over again through social media, mostly with these bobblehead morons that know nothing of history, right? They just parrot what's popular, right? Which is to hate America, hate everything American. Now let's just have a big old hate America party, because the founding fathers were all racist. The laws are racist. The system is rigged. It's institutionalized, systemic racism. And I heard, man, this guy that got choked out in the bus or the subway, whatever it was, in New York. Man, I would hate to live in a place like New York, wouldn't you? This guy was a Marine he was trained, right? So he was in a position where he could react to a situation to protect others, right? Like people should do, right? Real men and women, if you're capable of tackling a big black man. But this guy had like 40 different arrests. I don't know if they're all felonies, but that sounds a little extreme. But he's arrested 40 different times on all these different occasions for putting people at risk, trying to push people in front of the tracks, attacking people. He's mentally unstable, right? He of all people, right, should have been in some kind of an institution, right? Like they used to do back in the day. Yeah, they used to just kind of stick those type of people in a special home But no, in this new loving America, we just let them roam the subways and nobody danced like Michael Jackson. So it's like another Floyd 2.0, right? This guy gets, second-degree manslaughter. Like that fast. There you go. Left-handed. For what? Trying to subdue a guy who was threatening everybody. He had other people, black people, by the way, helping him subdue the guy. And the guy was flailing the whole time, right? Wow. And when we got these black leaders of BLM or whatever the hell, I don't even know enough to care to look them up. Some guy, Babblemouth on the Idiot Box, was there, having one of those MLK type speeches. Flair for the dramatic and everything, saying that that's not enough. Second-degree manslaughter wasn't enough for that guy. 5 to 15 years in prison for trying to protect others from a frickin' lunatic. Been arrested on 40 different occasions, right? For putting people directly at risk. And these are the people that they glorify, or they try to at least. So the narrative goes on the left, right? These are your heroes. The oppressed, the downtrodden, right, guys? Oh, this world is insane. That's all I can say. That's what I'm going to end on today. You know what? This world is insane. The only solution is if people got right with God, right? Jesus had the Sermon on the Mount where he talked about self-governance, right? If you ever get a chance, read the I don't think there's any better speech out there on how to remain free, truly free, right? Not, like satanically inspired free, where you run around doing what thou wilt, right? Aleister Crowley. Raping like he did children. Getting arrested 40 times for threatening people and throwing them on tracks and whatnot. That's not true freedom, guys. That's bondage to sin. True freedom, if you read the Sermon on the Mount, is to be self-governed to the point where if you love God yourself and your neighbor, love God with all your heart and your neighbor as yourself, as Jesus sums up the 10 Commandments, you won't be in much need for a government then, will you? If we have a godly people, like John Adams made it plain, the Constitution was created for immoral and religious people, and you can't separate them. Morality from religiosity. I guess I'll use a fancy word. You can't separate the two. Look at this cool truck. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I like that. Kind of like apocalyptic, shabby chic look. Primitive. But yeah, read that if you get a chance. That's your homework assignment. Thanks for listening. I'll try to cut it short today because got that long podcast coming up, guys. This was talk about pure insanity. I think I spent the better part of the week working on editing this thing. It's definitely a long format. I'll warn you ahead of time. But I touch on a lot of these same topics of the history of the founding of this nation, versus monarchies like King Charles. And I touch, you could say. Pretty good portion of the show is based on classical Protestant prophetic understanding of the scripture and how America fits in, as well as some of our enemies. Let's say God's greatest enemy on the earth, the Antichrist, right? Anyway, something to look forward to. Let me know when you get to it. The looks of it from the time, I'll probably be listing it tomorrow night. So God bless everybody. It's an insane time. Let's get right with God. Let's know that everything has been foretold. History has been completely foretold from the beginning, by the Alpha and the Omega. And so that should give you something to rest your head on at night, let's say. Some peace, this peace I give you, not as the world gives you, because this world, man, in these days ahead, there's going to be little respite, little breathing room for any kind of peace. But if we get right with God, if we keep the faith, hold true to that promise in a better world to come, and a God that's greater than any adversary that we may have on this little speck of a planet out here in all the blackness of space. That should give us some hope. We got to vitally hold on to that, because things are going to look really hopeless in the days ahead. And the only light we're going to have is that little bit of faith, that little candle, right? Like the 10 virgins. Have that little candle to hold on to. Anyway, I gotta get to the grocery store here before I run into anybody. So I just wanted to end on a good note today. Just a reminder, first check out this view, man. Beautiful red bluffs. Buttes? Bluffs or buttes? I'm not sure. What do you call them? Right down here near Masonville, Colorado. Foothill of the mountains. It's a thing of beauty, I tell you. Thing of beauty, and then there's me, right? I just wanted to end on a good note today. just a reminder for everybody out there, even though I know a lot of you don't need a reminder. Some of my audience, most of my audience is pretty good, right? Pretty good-hearted folks, I think. But, we often just kind of neglect. We often just kind of take for granted people in our lives. And there's one person in our lives that we should never, ever take for granted. And that is our mothers. Whew. Yeah, I just plucked those out of a random neighbor's yard back there. I won't tell her where I got those from, but I know she'll enjoy them. Just the aroma itself. I had them in my lap earlier, and I was trying to enjoy some beef jerky. It's all I could smell is lilac. Is like lilac jerky is the weirdest experience. Worst combo I can imagine. It's that perfumey mixed with meaty. Anyway, it's an amazing scent. Can't beat the scent of lilacs. And that's a rarity because they're not even blooming where I'm headed just yet. It's still too early up there in the mountains for any kind of blooms, but yeah, just the last I checked, a mother is the only one that can produce children, right? Reproduce. And God so masterfully and wonderfully and fearfully and intricately designed his created beings. In particular, the woman, right? With the matrix, as the Bible calls it. Her matrix of the womb. Setting her above the angels, capable of bringing life into this fallen world. But you only get one mother, and she is precious and priceless. And we can never fully fathom, all the sacrifice that our parents did for us. It goes without saying, as a male, I'll never, ever, ever be able to, in the slightest, comprehend what it means, to go through the experience of childbirth. I might say thankfully, but, it's a blessing and a curse. There's curses and blessings with everything. But life is definitely a blessing, right? And if it wasn't for the mother, there'd be no more life left on this earth. And so, yeah, just cherish her a little more every day if you still have your mother. I don't know, maybe make it a ritual if you're into rituals every Mother's Day to try to do a little something extra in the previous year to remind her how much you appreciate her and everything she's done for you, because life is short, and like I said, our mothers are priceless. We only get one of them, and it's through the mother that I believe, it's not in everybody's case maybe, but typically it's through the mother that we learn the most about how to love our fellow man, how to show true compassion for others, tenderness, right? Something for us males a little bit tough sometimes to lure ourselves to, you might say. But no, compassion, care for others, it's critical, right? And it's a man, it's a rare trait, I guess you could say, unfortunately. This modern day and age to lower ourselves, I guess, from our high and mighty selfish perspectives to sacrifice a little of ourselves for others, and there's no greater sacrifice. Jesus put it, the greatest sacrifice is to die for your friends. Well, maybe the second greatest sacrifice you could say is to birth a child, right? Yeah. Anyway, I thought I'd end on that good note. Thanks everybody for watching. Like I said, if you haven't done anything yet, do a little something extra, do a little something special for your mother, okay? That's my advice. Because we never know. Life is short. each of our days are numbered, and I know I haven't expressed enough gratitude for everything that my mother's done for me, but I try each day to do just a little something special, for my mother. I'll leave you with that. God bless everybody. It's Nightwatch N8, signing out.